Welcome back to Roll Credits, the podcast where we dive into the trivia and behind-the-scenes magic of your favorite shows and movies. This podcast was created with the help of AI tools. While we do our best to keep things accurate and fun, there may occasionally be errors or outdated info, so if you're citing trivia as Star Wars Party, maybe double-check and enjoy the show. Today, we're heading back to a galaxy far, far away with Season 2 of The Mandalorian. This is the season that really took the show from space western to full-blown Star Wars legend status with jaw-dropping cameos, deep lore, and, well, that certain Jedi reveal that pretty much made the internet explode. Let's dig into the fun facts, Easter eggs, and what made this season so unforgettable.
Yeah, Season 2 really felt like the moment, where The Mandalorian went from this really cool standalone story to being completely essential viewing.
Absolutely. Essential for understanding modern Star Wars.
Exactly. Season 1 set up Mando, the world, the bond with Grogu. But Season 2, it's all about that quest.
Getting Grogu back to his people, the Jedi.
Right. And how that whole journey just pulls Mando deeper and deeper into the galaxy's history, its conflicts, everything.
And it resonated, big time. Not just fans, right? Critics loved it, too.
Oh, the praise was huge. Everyone was talking about the action being stepped up, the visual.
The stagecraft tech is amazing.
Incredible. And the performances, Guranson's score just kept getting better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what really clicked was how the story grew.
Yeah.
That Mando-Grogu chemistry and how they brought back these legendary characters, but it still felt like its own thing.
Yeah, it didn't feel forced. And the numbers back that up.
Oh, yeah. The numbers tell a very clear story.
Yeah.
It wasn't just for Star Wars nerds anymore. Season 2 was the first ever Disney Plus show to hit the Nielsen Top 10 streaming list.
Wow, the first.
The first. And it didn't just squeak in, it hit #1. Peaked at 1.3 billion streams in a single week.
That's insane.
And it wasn't just eyeballs. It got serious props from the industry, too. An Emmy nomination for Outstanding Drama Series.
Which is huge for a streaming show, especially back then.
Right? Less than 2 years old. And it won a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Stunt Ensemble.
Okay, that makes sense. The action was definitely a standout.
That stunt award really highlights how central the action, the physicality was to its success.
So let's get into it. The journey kicks off with Chapter 9, The Marshal. Back to Tatooine, but maybe not the part you expect.
Yeah, Mando's looking for Jedi whispers, leads him to this dusty little town, Mos Pelgo, kind of off the beaten path.
And he finds, well, not a Jedi, but someone wearing very familiar armor.
Cobb Danth, Timothy Oliphant, who just nails that space western martial vibe.
Perfect casting.
And the story behind the armor is wild. He apparently found it or bought it from Jawas after surviving some mining disaster.
Jaws again, so he just put it on.
Pretty much. And used the armor's, reputation, its presence, to basically liberate his town from some nasty mining collective. He's the lawman, but his claim to the armor is shaky.
Which immediately causes friction with Mando and his whole creed, right?
Big time. So the episode becomes about them having to team up, along with the local Tusken Raiders.
Another unexpected alliance.
Exactly, to take down this massive krayt dragon that's menacing the town. It's pure Western setup, but Star Wars style.
With sand dragons and Mandalorians, yeah.
And it works because you see Mando evolving. He's not just the lone wolf anymore. He's negotiating, building bridges, all because he needs to help Grogu.
Right. And he gets the armor in the end, helps Vanth out. But the real kicker is that final shot.
Ooh, yeah. That lingering image of a scarred figure watching him ride off.
You just know who it is. The helmet, the way he stands, Boba Fett.
Just seeing him hinted at there, it absolutely set the internet ablaze, long before he really came back.
Such a great tease.
Masterful. And Guranson's music in that episode, he said he went for a rock and roll, heavy metal mood, like an homage to Ennio Morricone and those classic Western scores.
It totally fit that gritty desert vibe.
Perfect.
Okay, so after fighting dragons, Mando's next job in Chapter 10, The Passenger, is, well, it's a bit different.
Huh? Yeah, significantly slower paced. He ends up playing taxi driver for a frog lady and her precious eggs.
At sublight speed, no less?
Gotta protect the cargo.
Exactly. It's kind of a reminder of just how rough space travel can be, but then it throws in this, classic sci-fi horror bit.
You mean the ice planet, where Grogu finds those eggs and thinks, snacks.
Leading to that super creepy scene with the giant ice spiders hatching all around them.
Nightmare fuel. Seriously.
It's tense. Feels like it's from a totally different movie. But even there, they cleverly tie it back to Mando's past.
Right, they're rescued by the New Republic X-Wings.
Yeah, and the pilots recognize him. But instead of arresting him for that prison break in season 1,
They let him go because he helps catch his old crew.
see? His choices, even maybe self-serving ones back then, paid off later. It builds that feeling of consequence in the galaxy.
That's smart writing. Makes it feel lived in.
For sure. Though the poor Razor Crest doesn't fare so well in the escape. Gets pretty banged up.
Which forces a pit stop in Chapter 12, The Siege. Back to Navarro. And, man, Navarro has changed.
So much. Grief Karga's the magistrate now. Cara Dune's the marshal. They're actually cleaning the place up.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Characters who were totally underworld figures
Yeah.
are now trying to build something legit. It asks that question, how does a lawless place become stable?
But they're still dealing with Imperial leftovers. That mission to clear out an old base.
Leads to that really unsettling discovery in Dr. Pershing's lab.
Oh, yeah. The experiments with Grogu's blood.
And that mention of the high M count?
Yeah.
It clicks. This is why Gideon wants him. They're trying to harness his Force abilities, maybe for cloning, maybe something worse.
Adds a whole sinister layer to the chase.
Definitely. And just when they think they're clear after that awesome speeder bike and TIE fighter chase,
Uh-oh.
we see an Imperial spy slap a tracker on the Razor Crest. Gideon knows exactly where Mando's going. The net is closing.
The stakes just keep climbing.
Yeah, and as it gets more personal, the story starts weaving in these massive connections to the bigger Star Wars lore. That really kicks off in Chapter 11, The Heiress.
Mando gets to the moon Trask, looking for Jedi, but finds other Mandalorians.
But not his kind of Mandalorians. They take their helmets off, and they're led by Bo-Katan Krassi.
Which was huge. Katie Sackhoff, playing the character she voiced in Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yeah, for fans of the animated shows, seeing Bo-Katan in live action, this figure tied so deeply to Mandalore's history and the Darksaber. It was a massive moment.
And their mission hitting that Imperial freighter, it's not just random piracy.
No, it's part of Bo-Katan's plan to eventually retake Mandalore. She's grilling the Imperial captain about the Darksaber, which we last saw with Moff Gideon.
So many layers unfolding. And speaking of secrets, apparently Katie Sackhoff didn't even know about the Luke Skywalker cameo.
Yeah, reportedly she found out when she watched the finale like the rest of us. Shows you the level of secrecy they maintain.
Incredible.
And Gurrenson's score for Bo-Katan is cool too. He used these distorted synths, giving her this industrial kind of driven sound. Matches her energy.
So Bo-Katan points Mando towards someone who definitely knows about the Jedi.
Ahsoka Tano. Leading us to Chapter 13, simply called The Jedi.
Mando finds her on Corvus, played by Rosario Dawson. Another massive live-action debut.
Huge, and this is where things get really personal for Grogu. Ahsoka can actually connect with him through the Force.
Understand him, and she reveals his name, Grogu.
Finally. And not just his name, but his past. He was training at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant before the Empire. He survived Order 66.
Wow. So he's directly connected to the prequels.
Right into the heart of it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes his survival even more incredible. But then Ahsoka makes that tough call.
She won't train him because of his attachment to Mando.
Yeah, and this is so interesting thematically. You think back to Anakin, told to suppress his attachments. Ahsoka sees that bond as a potential danger, maybe a path to the dark side, like it was for Anakin.
It really makes you question the old Jedi ways, doesn't it? Was that rigidity their strength or their fatal flaw?
A core question of the whole saga, really. Ahsoka, having left the Order, has her own perspective. She tells Mando to take Grogu to the ancient temple on Tython, let Grogu reach out himself.
And the music again, Gurrenson weaves in Yoda's theme when he's mentioned, and uses Kevin Kiner's Ahsoka theme from Clone Wars. Just brilliant blending.
Masterful stuff. So, off to Tython, which leads straight into Chapter 14, The Tragedy.
Grogu gets to the Seeing Stone, starts meditating, this cool Force energy field flares up.
And just as things seem quiet, bam! Slave Eye drops out of hyperspace.
The Boba Fett. For real this time. And he brought Fennec Shand.
Tamora Morrison back as Boba Fett. Monumental. And he doesn't just show up. He lays claim to the armor Mando got from Cobb Vanth. Says his father Jango was a Mandalorian foundling, so it's his birthright.
That adds a whole new kind of controversial layer to the Fett legacy.
Definitely stirs the pot.
Yeah.
But before they can really hash it out, Moff Gideon arrives.
And things go bad. Fast. The Razor Crest. Gone. Just obliterated from orbit.
Oh man, that hurt. That ship felt like a character. You felt that loss alongside Mando.
Totally. And then Gideon deploys the Dark Troopers.
Terrifying. These things are relentless, way beyond normal stormtroopers.
Oh.
And they snatch Grogu right out of his Force bubble.
Such a dark turn. But in the middle of it all, Boba gets his armor back.
And he and Fennec Shand, who owes Mando a life debt from Season 1, Remember, they promised to help get Grogu back.
The classic getting the team together beat. Robert Rodriguez directed this one, right? Very action-packed.
Yeah, and apparently Gurrenson's Boba theme in this episode was inspired by Rodriguez's own sound design style. Those distorted sounds really fit.
Okay, so that sets up the finale. Chapter 16, The Rescue. Mando needs backup.
Big time. So he recruits Cara Dune, grabs Dr. Pershing for intel, and makes a deal with Bo-Katan and her Night Owls, including Cosca Reeves.
But there's tension there, right? The helmet thing, they're different approaches.
Oh yeah, immediate friction. But they agree. Bo-Katan helps rescue Grogu, she gets the cruiser and the Darksaber. Mando considers helping her take back Mandalore later. It's shaky.
A very fragile alliance. The assault on the cruiser is intense.
Especially Mando facing those dark troopers. He barely takes out one with the Beskar spear Ahsoka gave him, then has to eject the rest. Shows how deadly they are.
And then the big confrontation. Mando versus Gideon. Spear versus Darksaber.
Mando wins.
Yeah.
But in doing so, he unknowingly becomes the rightful owner of the Darksaber according to their traditions. By conquest.
Which throws a massive wrench into Bo-Katan's plans. Oops.
Huge implications for the future. Total power shift. And just when you think it might be over, the Dark Troopers are back, pounding on the bridge door.
And then the moment.
A lone X-Wing appears.
Hooded figure, green lightsaber.
And he just dismantles the Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
Effortlessly. It's Luke Skywalker.
Seeing Mark Hamill digitally de-aged with Max Lloyd-Jones as the double. Just unreal. Nobody saw that coming.
Total shockwave. And Gurrenson brings back Williams' Force theme perfectly. Luke's there for Grogu.
It's what Mando wanted, technically. But that goodbye scene, heartbreaking.
It forces Mando and you, the viewer, to grapple with what saving Grogu really means. Sometimes it's letting go.
Okay, we have to talk about Grogu, the phenomenon.
Baby Yoda, he was everywhere.
That name just stuck, didn't it? Even Favreau leaned into it, though apparently Disney execs got warned off using it internally, which is funny.
What's interesting is that Lucas always kept Yoda's species a mystery. Favreau and Filoni wanted to explore that by showing one at the start of its journey.
And he's 50 years old, but looks like a baby because they age so slowly. Important point, he is not Baby Yoda.
Crucial distinction. He's Grogu. Before we knew that, though, he was the child, the kid, or, the asset, the bounty, the donor to the bad guys.
Dehumanizing him?
Exactly. And the way they brought him to life. Mostly that incredible animatronic puppet.
Costing around $5 million, apparently? Designed by Legacy Effects, operated about 2 people.
Yeah, with CGI enhancements. But they really preferred the puppet. Remember Werner Herzog?
Oh, yeah, playing the client. He called them cowards for thinking about using CGI instead of the puppet.
Because he felt it had real presence, real soul. And directors treated the puppeteers like actors. Brendan Wayne, Mando's double, said it felt like acting with a real kid.
A very expensive kid. Didn't Adam Pally accidentally punch it?
Huh. Yeah, playing one of the scout troopers in the season 1 finale. Apparently punched the $5 million puppet pretty hard by mistake and was terrified afterwards. Joked Grogu was a diva.
That's hilarious. And that photo of George Lucas holding the puppet on set?
Iconic. Just perfect symbolism of bridging Star Wars eras.
The secrecy around his reveal was just brilliant marketing, too.
Totally. No trailers, no merch beforehand. Favreau credited Donald Glover, actually, with the idea of the surprise drop, like Beyoncé albums.
Wow.
Disney backed it, no screeners, social media silence for a week. It created genuine shock and buzz.
Beyond just being cute, he's so central to the themes, right? Parenting, fatherhood.
Absolutely. People compare Mando and Grogu to Lone Wolf and Cub.
That fits perfectly.
This tough warrior just transformed by caring for this child. You see him soften, become less selfish, fussing over buttons, installing a car seat.
Yeah.
It grounds the whole space adventure in something relatable.
Though there were those darker theories, too, after the Force choke.
Yeah, people wondered if he had a manipulative side, or could be tempted. Moff Gideon's line, "You may think you have some idea what you're in possession of, but you do not," fueled that.
Makes you wonder, right? Is his path set, or is Mando's influence shaping him?
It's a great question for you to ponder. His popularity was undeniable, though. Huge for Disney, plus Mem made Star Wars relevant to a massive new audience.
Maybe even overshadowed Mando a bit, like Baby Groot.
Arguably, yeah. And it proved practical effects and puppetry still resonate powerfully.
And their story isn't over. We know there's a Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming.
Announced early 2024 shows their lasting impact. This streaming show is now shaping the whole saga.
Let's hit a few more behind-the-scenes bits. Season 2 really pushed that stagecraft tech further.
Oh yeah, bigger LED walls, more complex virtual sets. They also brought in action specialists like Sam Hargrave from Extraction.
Which explains why the stunts felt even better, contributing to that SAG award.
Exactly. And it's always good to remember, while Pascal's the voice, it's often Brendan Wayne or Lateef Crowder in this suit doing the physical stuff. Team effort.
Definitely. Great directing lineup, too. Favreau, Filoni, Bryce Dallas Howard, Carl Weathers.
Robert Rodriguez, Rick Famuyiwa.
Yeah.
A real powerhouse team.
Quick trivia, Clancy Brown, who voiced Berg the Deveronian in Season 1, he'd actually played an antagonist to another Mandalorian character before in a different Star Wars project.
Ah, cool little connection. Shows how interconnected that world is. And we mentioned Göransson using the classic Williams themes this season.
Yeah, felt like the show really earned its place in the main saga by then.
Totally. And back in Chapter 9, on Tatooine, there were some fun visual nods, too.
Like Peli Motto working on what looked like a pod racer engine.
Exactly. Nice little Phantom Menace Easter egg. Fits Tatooine perfectly.
And even her just casually saying, "Thank the Force."
Right. It shows how the Jedi have become myth, their religion, just as saying, for most people, unlike Mando's crew, who don't initially even call Grogu's powers the Force.
It grounds the timeline, shows how much the galaxy changed after the Empire.
Good detail. Gives you that sense of history and lost knowledge.
That's a wrap on our Season 2 breakdown of The Mandalorian. Phew, what a season. From surprise cameos to deep Star Wars lore, this season really gave fans everything they didn't know they wanted. If you like this deep dive, make sure to follow Roll Credits, share it with your favorite bounty hunter, and leave us a review in your galaxy of choice. Until next time, this is the way.